We're going to have a quick look at a few basic things to do with electronics. Let's think electrical products. So we can split lots of our electrical things into these three main categories. Okay, we have inputs, we have a processor, so we have a processor of some description, and then we have an output. Okay, so there are main things. So we can think of inputs. Inputs are things that we input into computers or into electrical products. These could be as simple as a switch. They could be a sensor, and these sensors could be a light. This could be a light sensor. So they could sense light. Okay, and lots of these light sensors, these are really light dependent resistors. Okay, or they could perhaps be, they could sense a temperature. And so they could be thermistors, sensing his temperature. Or they could be almost, like these sensors could be these could be for moisture. Okay, so we can set up some form of sensor. So we can have switches, we can have sensors. Okay, there are two main types of input. And we have processors, but we'll have a look at processors in a second. Okay, let's have a look at this one over here, some outputs. So, outputs, what could this be? This could be a motor. So, a motor could move something, it could open something, close something, turn something on. It could turn a fan. A motor could be attached to a fan, so it blows air. It could be attached to a pump, so it pumps water somewhere. Okay, so it could be something like that, or it could be some form of light. That's kind of an output. That could make a light somewhere. Okay, because it lights something up. Or this could be some kind of sound. So I'm really splitting this into some form of movement, something visual, or something you could hear. Okay, so there are main things, and we can subdivide these different forms of light, different forms of sound. Is it a speaker? Is it a buzzer? Motors, like I say, is it a pump or is it a fan? But there are main outputs. So our main inputs are our switches and sensors, and these are our main outputs here. Then in the middle there, we've got our process. Now our processors, there are a number of things we can use here. Okay, there are these things we've got. So in this category here in the middle, if I wanted, I could think of this. I could split it into two things. I could have this thing, microprocessors. Now a microprocessor, okay, think it has like a small printed controller. So this will do a job. So this will do a thing. It's like a printed circuit board. Okay, it will do what it's been asked to do, but it's got no memory, so we can't really do anything with. This is the way it is. Comes up the factory. It's processed. It's made like this, and it says right. A sensor. There is this light. Light's above this amount. Turn on the motor. Okay, so it follows through. So a microprocessor is made in the factory, fixed, and we're not going to change it. And then but it's not just microprocessors in here. There's another one as well. We can have these things, microcontrollers. Now a microcontroller is slightly different because a microcontroller we can program. Okay, we can use this. So we could get this and we could program this microcontroller, and we could set it almost like, imagine your house, you have a thermostat. Yep, so it measures what temperature it is. The microcontroller, you program it, so it says when it gets to a certain temperature, turn on the motor, and the motor then lets in the gas, so it starts your boiler, so it heats it, so it starts heating up the house. Okay, or so you could have something like that works. So that's how it could work. So with the sensor, microcontroller, which we set to, we can program it, so we can change it. So a programmable microcontroller, and then it has some form of output. Now these microcontrollers, these have got big advantages, because as opposed to having lots of different controllers, components, same as this one. Instead of having lots of different components, it's all kind of printed. It's all much smaller. So it's much, these are much smaller than individual parts. So that's a big advantage of this. Okay, and another point, because we can do this, same for your heating thing, what you could do is these ones here, because we can reprogram these. So this is where this one becomes much better than a microprocessor, which is fixed. This microcontroller, we can reprogram it, so we can keep changing it. So it's not fixed in stone. So we can change what it does. Okay, so that's very good. And both of these two though, so this one here is unique to microcontrollers. It's both much smaller. So this one's unique to a microcontroller. The other one that's very good is they can have a number of pins. They can have think of these can fit several. So one thing can have several inputs and outputs. Okay. So your one microcontroller can have lots of ways of inputting and lots of ways of outputting. Think of something as simple as a simple example like a computer, where you might have the inputs might be your mouse and your keyboard, so that which basically switches, and then your microcontroller knows what's going to go on, and then it's got outputs. Okay, so you can program your computer to do different things. Most of it being set by someone else already, and then outputs could be, if you have lots of outputs, you can have outputs in sound, outputs in the screen, how bright the screen is. Maybe there's outputs and it turns on the fan when it gets too hot, so inside there's a temperature sensor, and it's like, oh, it's too hot or whatever, so let's turn on the motor, the fan comes on. So there's lots we can do. Okay, lots that a microprocessor can decide on, and a microcontroller. So the microcontroller is very much programmable. It's much smaller, and you can reprogram it, and it can have several inputs and outputs, and there its main advantages. Okay, there's obviously some disadvantages to do with you need some right software to use it, and they're more expensive than just using a traditional like printed circuit board. Okay, but aside from the cost and the fact that they need some special software perhaps to control it, and understanding of the programming language, these are much better because they're much smaller. You can reprogram than just a standard printed circuit board and a standard microprocessor. Okay, so here's some outputs, some inputs, and in the middle there we have our processing things. And that's a key ways we can categorize our electronic